DBA entitled It's Masala Time. That's a application for an alcohol license, and that'll take place on April the 8th at 10 o'clock a.m. And then we have another alcoholic beverage license hearing for the El Rancho Mexican Cuisine, LLC. We have another one for another alcoholic beverage license hearing for the Lemon Leaf Cafe, LLC, DBA, the Little Lemon Leaf Diner. And then last but not least, we have another alcoholic beverage license hearing for Sassafras, LLC. And as I stated earlier, all five of these will take place on April the 8th. Then we have some consent items. Regular session minutes dated March the 18th, 2025. We have our liquor minutes dated March 18th, 2025. We have closed session minutes dated March the 18th, 2025. We have a combined multiple gaming raffle application for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for April the 12th, 2025. We have the Women's League of Washington College is applying for a combined multiple gaming device or raffle for May the 13th, 2025. We have a 2025 annual housing bond allocation, Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development. And we have 2 letters of credit that we intend to release. And why we call these consent items, these are items that have been discussed previous and are just in need of a motion. Any questions about any of these that I just read?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve all 7 of the consent items as presented.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Next we have special Class C license, alcohol license application has been made by the Sultana Education Foundation. Now there's 6 of them, individual. Commissioner Price, you want to do them separate or all in one?
We can do them all.
They're all done by the Sultana Education Foundation. One is beer and wine dated April the 4th, 2025. The other one is beer, wine, and liquor, May the 2nd, 2025. Next one is beer and wine for June the 6th, 2025. The next one is beer, wine, and liquor, dated August the 1st, 2025. We have beer and wine, one for beer and wine was September the 5th, 2025, and one for beer and wine dated October the 3rd, 2025. And again, these are all applications from the Sultana Education Foundation. Do I have any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'm sorry, let me stop for a second. Yeah, because these are alcohol hearings, they're always in need of a public hearing. We will allow tonight to serve as that public hearing. Anyone that would like to comment for or against these applications, feel free to do so at this time. There being none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special Class C per diem liquor license applications, all 6 of them, for the Sultana Education Foundation.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Next is our public hearing protocol. Tom, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask the clerk, has anybody signed in to testify for this public hearing?
Double check.
Okay.
Double check right before.
What I'm going to suggest is if nobody has signed in and we're only going to hear from staff, we can dispense with the reading of the formal rules for public hearing.
Nobody signed it, that's me.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you have one matter before you for public hearing. It's Code Home Rule Bill 1, 2025. I will read the notice into the record, and then we do have somebody from the planning office here, Mr. Tracy, to testify in support of the bill. So this is Code Home Rule number 1, 2025, introduced by Ronald H. Fithian, President of the Board of County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland, an act to amend Chapter 222 zoning of the Code of Public Local Laws of Kent County, Maryland, also known as the Kent County Land Use Ordinance, in order to add a new land use and to permit said new land use in certain districts as special exception. One, by adding 5.75 assisted living facilities with 9 to 16 beds provided to Article 5 District Regulations, Section 3, Critical Area Residential, Section 5.3, Special Exceptions. Item 2, by adding 4.75 assisted living facilities with 9 to 16 beds to Article 5 District Regulations, Section 3, Community Residential, Section 6.3, Special Exceptions. Item 3, by adding 3.5 assisted living facilities with 9 to 16 beds to Article 7 Special Exceptions, Section 6, Procedures. Item 4, by adding specific conditions for said new land use. 6.75 assisted living facilities with 9 to 16 beds to Article 7 Special Exceptions, Section 7 Special Exceptions. Article 5, by including one non-codified provision. And item 6, by providing for an effective date related to the required Critical Area Commission review and approval of the zoning text per Maryland Annotated Code Natural Resources Article Section 8-1809, as the same may be amended from time to time. A hearing will be held on April 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Art Clayton Mitchell Jr., Kent County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. The agenda for the meeting will be published online 24 hours in advance of the meeting at kentcounty.gov.com/government. Citizens are encouraged to participate in the public hearing process. If you require communication assistance, please contact the County Commissioner's Office at 410-778-4600 and press 4, or visit Maryland Relay at mdrelay.org no later than noon on Friday, March 28th, 2025. A complete copy of the proposed legislative bill is available in the Commissioner's Office, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on the county's website. This is by order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Sandra M. Blackiston, Clerk, and it was published in the Kent County News on March 13th, 2025, and again on March 20th, 2025. So I believe Mr. Tracy from the Planning Office is here.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to open the public hearing for Code Home Rule Bill 1-2025.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you. Public hearings of Mr. Tracy and anybody else who wishes to testify. Do you solemnly swear and affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony that you are about to get is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Rob Tracy. I'm with the Department of Planning and Zoning. The legislation before you tonight is a citizen-sponsored text amendment that would increase the assisted living facility bed capacity from 8 to 16 in the critical area residential and community residential zoning districts. And part of this bill would require that the Planning Commission send a recommendation to the Board of Appeals. There are 9 new criteria that would be added to the review criteria that the Planning Commission would review in their recommendation to the Board of Appeals. Currently, assisted living facilities with a maximum of 8 beds are administrative special exception in 5 of the zoning districts in our county. The Planning Commission met in February, early February, to review this application. They reviewed, excuse me, the text amendment and sent a favorable recommendation to this body. The Planning Commission deliberations, they discussed the consistency with the comprehensive plan, and in reviewing text amendments and making a recommendation to this body, they reviewed what's called the public need. The public need for this zoning text amendment is the increase in our senior population. The Kent County Land Use Ordinance predicts that by the year 2040, 1 in 3 county residents will be over the age of 65. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, gentlemen? I think we're good.
Before you close the public hearing, just want to make an announcement that the record will be open until the close of business on Friday, April 4th, this Friday. And if anyone wishes to submit documentation and or evidence, they have until that time to do so. Okay. Mr. Tracy, anything else from you?
No, I don't think so.
Then you can entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing for Code Home Rule Bill 1-2025, assisted living facilities, and for the record to remain open, as Mr. Yeager has already said, until the close of business on Friday, April 4th, 2025.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Now entertain a motion to go back into open session.
Motion to go back into open session.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Next up, we have Miss Beth Hill, I think, with the Kent County 4-H. And before you start, let me just say that the three of us have been pretty much at most of your events, and they're very special times. We are, I
Get invited.
think they show a great group of kids there that would make anybody proud of them. That's you always do a great job, and one time we try to be there if we can.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate all three of you in your attendance the last couple of years to our Achievement Banquet, which does allow us the opportunity to recognize our volunteers and our supporters, our youth, for all their amazing activities. So I thought I would just come today, not to ask for anything, of course, but to just say thank you for all that you have done to help support our program. And to give you an idea of just where 4-H is right now, I know COVID hit everybody very hard. It hit our program very hard. As an experiential learning, hands-on program, when you can't do that, it hurts. And we transitioned as best we could. We certainly kept our program going, but it has been a time of recovery in the last few years. I am so happy to be here to report that we are at a point now that we are even better than we were before COVID. I have, for the end of 2024, we had 136 4-H members. We're already up over 141, which is more than we've had in over a decade. So I am really happy with the trajectory of our program. We've got a lot of younger kids and very, very active families in lots of different program areas. Of course, here in Kent County, we are a traditional 4-H program with a lot of animal science base, but we are bringing in, our shooting sports is our second largest club. So shooting sports is a big part of what we do. And they, for the last few years, have been the kids that have been traveling outside of the county. So going on to national and other events. So I just want to take a minute to highlight a couple things. I had sent you our highlights for 2024, so I just want to point out a couple different things, and then if you have any questions, I would love to attempt to answer them. So I have a breakdown sort of by the numbers of what we have done in this past year. I'm also happy to say not only is our trajectory of our student and youth enrollment going up, but the number of volunteers is going up as well. We have a just fantastic volunteer base in our program. These are amazing folks that dedicate a lot of their time, and you can see I had 65 volunteers self-report over 5,000 hours that they had given to the 4-H program in 2024. And when you use the independent sector figures for volunteer time, that's almost $170,000 worth of time and expertise that these volunteers are giving back to the program. And that doesn't include parental support and things like that. This is what our volunteers give back in education and time and instruction to our Kent County kids. So I'm very happy about that. We also brought in over $30,000 in either grants, donations, most of which came from out of the county. So that's dollars coming into Kent County for various projects. The one I want to highlight is the archery grant that we got. Our archery program is very strong, and we are attempting to we have an excellent facility in the Kent County Ag Center. And lends itself to hosting the state archery match, and we are moving to have the equipment here to be able to do that. We've already been hosting 3 state practice squad practices in Kent County down there because we were able to purchase 7 FIDA targets and some more 3D targets that would lend itself to having the state match here. So we're a few targets short. We're working on that. So that's a big boost to our program. So not only does it have the equipment for our local kids, but we're also then able to bring in other families from across the state to see our facilities and hopefully bring dollars into the county as well as they stay here and visit and eat dinner and get gas and all those kinds of things. As far as our programming, one of the things that was a highlight of last year, you guys know we do our toy drive, which was in its 25th year, I'm happy to say. So I got the kids all T-shirts. I had over 50 kids involved in our toy drive this year, and 30 just on the planning committee. So lots of events that surround that activity. It's our biggest service project of the year. So we are able to supply gifts and toys for over 500 Kent County youth. And it is a project, once kids get involved with it, they tend to stay with it for their entire 4-H career. For some kids, that's 10 to 14 years. So it's a long time that those kids are giving back to their own community. Certainly, the Ag Center is a big part of what we do. We work hand in hand. We are not the same organization, but we partner very, very closely. And so we do a lot of support to make that Ag Center stay maintained, to keep the buildings in operational order. So we had 7 designated cleanups last year just to keep things going down there, and that has worked very, very well. One of the other in the arts area, so you don't always think of 4-H in the arts, but we partnered with the Kent Cultural Alliance last year for their first Artist in Residence program, focusing on the land. So we had an artist that was designated to Kent County 4-H, and she partnered with multiple of our families, came to the fair, went and visited farms, and anything that had to do representing the land. And so we were able to be a part of her presentation, and then those artists then presented down at the fair last year. It's the first time we've ever had a artistic display as part of the fair, and I think that is going to continue. So that was a really cool thing that happened last year, and a great partnership. I am also want to highlight the fact that I don't know, I'm sure most of you know Jill Bramble Smith, and we are so fortunate that Jill grew up here in Kent County. She is the CEO of National 4-H Council. She came and visited with us last year, and she came with me when I was teaching a career day class at Galena Elementary School. So there's a picture of her and I with some children and some insects that we were talking about at the elementary school there. So that was a lot of fun, and she has been just an amazing support, not only of 4-H nationally, but Maryland and certainly here in Kent County. And we are very, very proud that she grew up in our 4-H program here. So that's just sort of a kudos, and it's very nice. She mentions it quite a lot when she when she talks about where she's from. So that's very nice. The final thing I just wanted to highlight was the amount of activity that our kids are doing, and again, highlight that our kids are going out of the county. That is one of my goals as an educator, is I want them to learn skills here that they feel confident enough and have the mastering skill enough to go on to state level and national level events. And so we are well back in competition mode, although that's not all of it. 4-H is known as a competitive program, and it is, and that's one thing that helps kids master their skills, being able to compete in it. But that's not everything. It's the learning that goes on behind that competition. So we've had champion Dairy Bowl kids, we've had champion Horse Bowl kids, and in their age groups. And so we've got a wonderful group of juniors that are coming up. And we had 3 kids go to national events this year. Samantha Jane went to the National Shooting Sports Invitational in Nebraska, representing the state of Maryland for shotgun. Reed Fry went to Louisville, Kentucky for North American International Livestock Expo for dairy judging. And then David Daniels was selected as the representative to the Grand National Waterfowl Hunt in Dorchester. I know it's local, but it is a national event, and 1 Maryland 4-H'er is selected to go to that event. And we've had the last 3. So I am really, really proud of our kids. They work hard. They're very, very good and knowledgeable. And as you know, the Kent County Fair is coming up the middle of July. So I want you to keep that on your calendar and come visit us at the fair this summer. And hopefully it won't be 95 when you get there.
I bet it will be.
I know, we try really hard for it not to be 95.
I don't know who's in charge of your weather, but you ought to change.
I wish I could, I really do. But that's kind of a quick overview of our program. Do you have any questions or things that you would like to know about what's going on in 4-H?
No, just keep up the good work, Beth. It's a phenomenal, I know firsthand how
I know.
phenomenal the program is and what a good job you do and all of the volunteers. It is truly a humbling thing to be a witness to and to see how people come together down there. Those kids come together and work. It's amazing. But I did want to add one thing. I was talking to T. This has nothing to do with 4-H. It has to do with the Ag Center. And I was talking to T the other day, and he said that they're planning on doing a pretty significant dock dog competition
Yes, mhm.
at the
In
Ag
September.
Center this year in September. It's a
Yes.
weekend in early September, but it's kind of a East Coast thing from,
Yeah.
so it'll be pretty neat.
Yeah, that should be fun as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, looking forward to it. Any questions?
Thank you again.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. I appreciate the time to just let you know what's going on, and
Look
certainly,
forward-
again, please come
We
visit
look
us
forward to
anytime
your
you want.
visit every year.
Well, thank you.
Next up, I guess, is Dan Mattson, our Public Works Director.
Careful, Dan. Treading on thin ice, Dan.
Good evening. So I am here tonight to discuss the EMS facility that is currently under construction. To provide, I'll briefly go over some background information and how we got where we are in the project and what the potential next steps could be. This project, back in this time last year, was established with a budget of $651,088. That was based on preliminary quotes we had received from some general contractors working with us on the scope of the project at the time. The quote we had was $551,088, so we included $100,000 in contingency for the project at that time. Last, I believe it was June, we put this project out to bid, and we received a low bid of $628,800, substantially higher than the initial quote we had received. The reason for that, the only reason for that, to my understanding, was that we had reviewed the project with the state fire marshal, and it was determined that the vehicle storage area, the vehicle bays, and the storage area of the building would need to be sprinklered. At that time, their preliminary review, which was not official, indicated that if we were to construct a firewall between the office bunk area and those other buildings, and those other areas of the building, we would not need to sprinkler the whole building. Since that time, there was a small change order awarded associated with an entrance portico that was under $10,000. And over the winter, we received the total bill for all the Chestertown Township or town permitting fees for the project. Between the building permit and the utility connection fees, that total to the town of Chestertown came to $22,287.60. So at present, we are a little under $10,000 over budget on the project. Before anything else I'll discuss. In the last month, we received our formal review of the project from the State Fire Marshal. That review now determined that the entire building must be sprinklered. The storage area, the vehicle bays, the bunk rooms, and the area between the ceiling and the roof truss. That also requires a full sprinkler system per code. We've offered many options, including smoke detectors, heat sensors, things like that, in that truss area specifically, to no avail.
That's an unconditioned space, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
So we're going to take a pressurized water system, put it, because the state's telling us to do this. We're going to take a pressurized water system, put it in an unconditioned space at the top of a building,
So it can freeze and bust.
so it can freeze and bust and ruin everything underneath of the building when that so happens.
I believe there is some additional insulation that will need to be installed solely for the purpose of protecting that fire line.
That's
which
what
is
they
inclu-
said in those there's condos in Rock Hall when the pipes went up through the attic and busted and completely destroyed the residences below. And then they wonder why, like, building homes and stuff have outpriced what people can afford. These kind of things just makes it terrible.
I share your frustration. I truly do.
And listen, I didn't think me saying anything.
No,
Not saying anything would change anything at all. We're just ranting a little bit.
I completely agree, and it is frustrating as well that the plan has not changed since our initial review to present. With the building layout, the space allocation, we designed it per their direction, and then when we formally submitted, we were told differently. So the sprinklers alone have a cost with them. But before I get into specific numbers on additional costs, I want to remind you that the bid that we put out was for construction of the building and all improvements within 10 feet of the building. It was a building envelope. Utility lines, the contractor is currently under contract to do all the interior work for the utilities, the water, the sewer, the electric, the IT, and carry out the utility stubs to 10 foot from the building. At that point, we've had previous discussion about potentially county staff completing the runs from where the contractor leaves it, tying into the contractor's lines, making connections, doing the site grading work, the stormwater management, as well as the hiring paving as well, because the county roads does not pave, but we would need the driveways and the parking lots paved. So there are certain known elements that were excluded from the original bid that are included in this as well. So with that said, we've worked with the general contractor to come up with a change order that would address a number of these issues. Specifically, well, this wouldn't go to the contractor, but the overage of anticipated utility connection fees and construction permit fees to the township. Survey work associated with the site work we need to do, whether it's the county roads or a contractor that does that grading work, the stormwater, et cetera. We need a surveyor to go out there and lay that out for us. The sprinkler system, right now, that's an additional $45,000. IT connections, again, permitting approvals and the work that will be done by Big Networks. The asphalt binder course and the surface course. Certain stormwater structures, we don't deal in concrete at Public Works, but, you know, having a company manufacture the couple catch basins we need for the project, as well as there's a small concrete lined swale that leads into the infiltration area. That is work that cannot be done in-house and is needed to complete the project. So I prepared a memo on this topic that I included with tonight's the submission for this item. Those items, in addition to the added responsibility of the superintendent on the job, that totals $130,000, $136,663.
136.
130,663. 130.
130.
Yep.
663.
In my opinion, there are no ways around those items. If those come as a surprise, I'll own absolute responsibility for not correctly managing your expectations of additional costs on this project.
663.
There are a number of other items that I would characterize maybe not as mandatory, but strong recommendations after my review of the project in detail with the general contractor as well as our county staff. Those include installation of a transfer switch at the power panel that makes the emergency backup generator that we've applied for grant funding for, that would allow that to basically be plug and play. Continuation of the utilities, the water, the sanitary sewer, the IT and power conduits, having the sub who's going to start those runs complete them all the way to their final point. The grading and earthwork associated surrounding the building, as well as preparation of the stone base course that goes immediately below the pavement. The curb cuts and grading for the exit drive onto Flatland Road, and some landscaping that was required by the town as part of project approval. So those items, which generally speaking, it's technically feasible that county departments could do them, portions of them. That price tag is $119,017. Now, I did say I do strongly recommend every item that I just mentioned, and there's a number of reasons for that. The first is project scheduling. Our roads crews, they are fantastic at what they do. They work on road projects with lots of wide open space here in Kent County. They can be off by 6 inches to a foot in what they're doing, and they can make it up very easily with grading of swales and massaging of a field that goes out within the right-of-way. This type of work is, they're used to painting with a broad brush, and we're asking them to get the finest brush in the set out to do this work. If they go with it, it will take more time than a contractor would, a site contractor whose business is this type of work. There is what I call fragmented accountability here. When we have two different parties responsible for portions of a utility line, if there's an issue with that water line, it's going to be very hard to pin that on, say, that's the contractor's fault, because he may come back to us and say, no, that issue occurred because of your crew's connection to my line. The accountability becomes very murky when you have two different parties working on the same element. And along that same vein, any work performed by the county comes without warranty, comes without maintenance bond, which is included in all the costs I have listed. As I mentioned, technically feasible, yes. We can do this in-house. However, between the time and the quality of work, I believe would be much better suited for specialty contractors. It also preserves the capacity of our county staff. We're not pulling wastewater crews for a week or two to run utility lines. They can stay working on what their regular duties are. Same for the roads department. And I will say, we have worked extensively, we being myself and the general contractor, on these costs. I believe they represent a very, very good value. I checked them with some other contacts I have in the industry, and I was told that the asphalt price is a decade old. We are getting very good unit pricing on these items. albeit it still is a substantial amount of money. So I don't take that lightly, but I do believe each item, we've sharpened the pencil to the greatest extent it can be sharpened on each one of these items.
And as far as the landscaping goes, do you have a number on that? Just
So-
landscaping.
9,388.
9388 is the installed landscaping pricing. That is one of the items I think we can defer from this change order if you feel suited to do so, because I know the landscaper that he used, I don't believe they're the cheapest option, but more to the point, we're talking about planting some trees and shrubs. I think we can buy those directly, the county can, and I'm very confident that our staff can install them appropriately.
You can guarantee that they live too, right? No, I'm kidding.
Well, like I said, county work does not include the
I'm joking with
guarantee.
you, no.
We would buy
I would imagine that we could do it
for less than that. I
a
agree.
lot cheaper than $9,000.
Right.
Yeah, and I would say the only other element of that is that we won't close out our construction permit until that is planted. We're in the window for spring planting right now. If we buy it quickly and get it in, yes, we can still do that. It may occur where we decide to defer that to the fall planting season. I don't believe there's any cost associated with keeping a permit open. It would still be less than a year since it was issued, but it would keep our permit open longer. I don't believe it would hold up a final certificate of occupancy. If the town wanted to play hardball, possibly they would consider a temporary certificate of occupancy dependent on landscaping, but I would not recommend installing it in July if we want them to live, July or August. There's a couple other items, some of the drain structures, I said, and the concrete. There's a chance if we go directly to Gillespie and say, hey, let us buy this instead of the contractor, we'll save a little bit of money on GC markup. And if Gillespie gives us a better price than the contractor, I don't believe they necessarily would give us a cheaper price, but we would save a markup on that. So between the three items, maybe a couple $100 in savings for us to buy them as opposed to for him to buy them. So in summary, the total change order is $239,800. This would bring our total project cost to $900,767.60. To provide some context for that number, I go back to the original bid results. Like I said, our original bid was $628,800. The second low bid was $839,415, and the third low bid was $877,785. So adding all these in, and those numbers are excluding every item I'm talking about today. So I do truly believe that, like I said, each item, we are achieving a great value on each item. I say that understanding completely that I'm talking about a lot of additional money. With that
So
said,
you're asking for a change order and funding to support that for $230,800,
239,800.
$239,800.
Yes, sir. If we were to exclude the landscaping, that would drop to, that may be where you came with 230. Yeah, if we were to exclude the landscaping, that number would drop to 230,000, 230,500 approximately.
Well, what I'd like to do is make a motion if we're in agreement here to continue. And I don't know why we wouldn't be, because we're so far into it.
We
at
don't
this
have
point.
any choice right now.
Turn back now.
Abandon the project.
Is that we do try to exclude the landscaping, but I'm going to make a motion to transfer a certain amount of money from fund balance to contingency, which I think will cover it, and maybe let Public Works do the landscaping part of it. Does that make sense?
That's fine with me. No.
So right now, there's 114, you got it?
114.
Okay, 464 in contingency, which is not enough to cover this. So,
So I was gonna leave the 464 in contingency
okay.
and just use the 114. So, having said that, is everybody okay with that? So I'd like to make a motion to approve the reallocation, wait a minute. Yes, reallocation of $135,670 from the fund balance and move it to contingency for the Kent County EMS facility capital project budget.
You got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it.
Does that take care of what you were looking for?
That moves all the money into contingency, and then I would need a separate motion to move it from contingency to this project's budget.
Correct.
So I'll make a motion to approve the change order to the Kent County EMS facility construction contract in the amount of $230,800.
230, 500.
Okay.
230, 500, yes.
2,000, or 230,500 to fund the additional items as discussed.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it.
Thank you. And like I said, I take full responsibility and accountability for any lack of, or misrepresented expectations about these costs. Some of them we knew were coming, but didn't have the exact numbers, and I'll endeavor on this and future projects to make you aware of these issues as, more quickly as they arise. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's gonna be a nice facility.
It's gonna be nice.
But just out of curiosity, I know you said it was 40-some thousand for the sprinkling of that, was that for the whole, was that the whole sprinkling project?
No, so initially, the sprinklers increased the project cost by about 74,000, almost 75,000.
$75,000 to sprinkle that building.
And then, that was for the first round of required sprinklers. Now we're adding an additional 45,000 to that, so we're at 110,000 for the full sprinkler system.
$110,000.
Yes, sir.
A tenth of the price of the building,
More than that, yes.
a little more than that.
Yep.
That's unbelievable. And then they wonder why houses and stuff that have to be sprinkled and stuff is out of the reach of the ordinary person anymore. That's crazy. All right,
Thank you very
we're
much.
not gonna change that here, but we can complain about it. When I asked that question, I really had no idea it was that much money.
Yeah.
That's a lot, that is unbelievable.
Like you said, is a very significant portion of the total project cost. I don't have it offhand, but it's relatively close to just the building materials themselves. So,
Unbelievable.
for the building at least, but,
All right,
thank you.
thanks a lot. Jim Miller, HR Director.
Good evening. So I have one staffing item for you this evening. That we're here to request to make a conditional offer of employment for a position for the Kent Family Center. I believe you have all the materials through the Civic Plus system, and I'm happy to answer any questions about the candidate. There were a total of 22 individuals that applied, 20 of whom, in most cases, didn't meet the qualifications for the job. A couple didn't respond to be interviewed, and Rachel, Lisa, and Katie interviewed the two who were qualified, and we brought forth the most qualified of the two for you this evening.
Any questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to extend a conditional offer of employment to the recommended candidate for the service coordinator vacancy.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen.
We're gonna jump ahead a little bit here. Rob, you and Dan have something you want to speak to?
Yeah, Dan will go use the head real quick. He'll bring it back.
Okay, then we'll, Shelley, you wanna? You
Sure.
got-
So starting off, I would like to announce a clarification in the public hearing for Code Home Rule Bill number 2-2025. That is on April 15th, so that will occur on April 15th at 6 PM, at the 6 PM meeting. Second of all, I have a meeting announcement that the Kent County Commissioners will be meeting with the other 4 county elected officials at Chesapeake College in the Dorchester Boardroom on April 17th, 2025 at 6 PM to discuss the Chesapeake College budget and any other budgetary matters. So that's just an announcement, no action necessary. And next, I just have 2 quick report outs. There was a letter of opposition for Senate Bill 931, House Bill 1036. This is our famous solar bill legislation that basically has caused quite a stir in Annapolis this year. There was another push for a letter of opposition, so that was sent out. And in addition, the Rock Hall Yacht Club Sailing School submitted a grant application, and the county sent a letter of support.
Very good. We'll give him just
You want to maybe ask Pete to come forward? I think he has something he wants to present.
wait, here he's back in.
Okay.
Rob, you and Dan got something you want to run by the county?
Indeed we do. Commissioners, my name is Captain Rob Newberry. I'm Chairman of Delmarva Fisheries. First, I'd like to thank you very much for your support of Delmarva Fisheries, that our home is right here in Chestertown, and also for the supporting our local watermen in the Kent County Watermen's Association. We really appreciate all you've done for us over the years and look forward to continue our good working relationship with you. As you know, everybody's kind of under a budget crunch here, and this year we were supposed to receive $950,000 for our shell program, the shell and seed program in Maryland. They initially put a cut in, and they said that it was going to be a $300,000 cut. And then they turned around, they put 2 figures on the board. One was $950,000, which we usually get, and another one was $300,000. And I had to call Mr. Judy at DNR and ask him, are we getting $300,000, $950,000, or 1.25 million? He goes, oh no, we're only getting $300,000 this year. And the question I asked him, I said, well, that's great, but you know, the Port of Baltimore just made an announcement today. That's where we get our MDOT money from. And they had the second largest year of income in the Port of Baltimore, $83.6 billion, record level, the second highest they've ever had since the port's been open. So we got cut. So instead of the counties getting $78,000, really $80,000 a year, now we're getting $27,000 to plant seed and shell on our bars. We know it's a budget cut, but you know, the work that we do, the watermen do, is a lot better than what the state is doing. I mean, Commissioner Fithian has been with me for 10 years on the OAC and other boards, and we've seen that we're not getting a bang out of the buck out of the state. It's the work that the watermen do is why we have this success. I don't think I'm wrong in saying that. I'm not Ronnie at all. And so we came several years ago, we were aware of a large amount of shell that was sitting in the dump in Rock Hall, and we didn't know whose it was. Well, I talked to Chris Judy today. It belongs to the county of Kent. It's Kent County shell. And what we're here today is we have got a plan to do something with this shell, and looking for the county to help us with this. And this, I'm going to turn it back over to Dan Diker. He's the Vice President of Kent County Watermen. He'll tell you basically what we want to do with it and where we want to go with it.
Hi, I'm Dan. You all know me. Thanks for listening to us. Basically, I'm wondering if we can use, county people, with, we're gonna have to take like excavators and put it in dump trucks and take it down to, the bulkhead and dump it on probably, oh shoot,
Jason Ruth.
Jason Roos. He's got a seed boat, or, and then they'll take it down Eastern Bay and get it struck. It's just sitting at the dump. It's on county property. We, I've talked about kind of doing it privately, but then you run into all kinds of issues with insurance and, as you can imagine, So, I don't know what you guys think about that or how feasible that is, or.
How much is it, Dan?
I-
How much shell is there?
It's, from what I understand, it started out as 20,000 bushel. I mean, it's been
Exactly
there,
what I was gonna say.
excuse me.
That's about just what I was gonna estimate, that was 20,000 bushel.
Now, we're not gonna recover that much.
Some of it's in the ground.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it's right next to my house.
Right.
And, I've been watching it, or it's gone down, the piles, we're gonna need excavators and stuff to dig it out of there. People,
How many truckloads do you think that is?
I don't know how many truckloads it is, but the history of it, they put shell there when there were shucking houses in Rock Hall. That's where all the shells went, and they had huge piles.
oh, really?
Yeah, and every year they would take it up, the DNR would take it up and take it down to the bulkhead and put it on those run boats, and they would go out and plant those fresh shells. This is just a little bit that was left. That's probably, I bet it's been sitting there 25 years plus.
What'd you say,
40 years. It's
40
been there
years.
40 years, yeah.
At least, I didn't have to think to know it was at least 25 or 30 years ago, because we haven't had a shucking house and all. So that's how old it's been. I mean, we, the county, would probably be tickled to death if it was gone, because it's just sitting there in the way. But, I mean, if you're talking about when you're wanting us to load them dump trucks and haul them down there, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I don't think that would be a problem, but it'd be worth it to us just to get them out of the way, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And they would go to some kind of good use.
Well, to me, it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, what do you think it'd take, 2 or 3 days, maybe?
Oh, I don't think I bet they'd do it in a day or
Okay.
so.
Yeah, you get
To me, it's a
you get
no-brainer.
about 20, between 15 and 20 or bushels, or no, about 100 bushels on 100 to 150 bushel on a truck, on a six-wheeler.
I would recommend working with Public Works, speaking with Dan Matson, who just presented, and they
Right.
can come up with an estimate of time and see when there's a window of availability of the county labor
Yeah,
and
when they're
or
not
trucks.
busy.
Yeah, well, because we're looking to put these shells over in like, June or July, in that time, because there's no sense putting over shell now to get all silted over. We get fresh shell over, would be the best thing to do.
Get in touch with Dan, well, Dan's gone now, but
Dan's
he's just here, but we can get in touch with him and kind of schedule a time when he could, take a look at what you got there and figure out a time when he's not doing a lot, maybe a slow time, and maybe you
Right.
could schedule your boat to be there whenever he says, and
Because
I don't
what we're going to
think it's
do,
a
we're
big deal.
going to partner up with Queen Anne's County also, because it's going into Queen Anne's waters. And I talked to Troy Wilkins and to another gentleman down there, Ian Horney, who's the president now. And they said, oh, they have no problem if, we want to go in and split the price of getting some larvae, and they'll have that manifold system that they've had excellent success with, and put it over top of these shells and see what we get. Because they've had a fantastic strike in Eastern Bay again this year. And it's
Just tell them we're gonna have to change the name of that bar to Kent County Bar. How about that?
Oh, that's no problem. That's no problem. But, we also, the good thing is that Jason Ruth has a pile of shell at his house. It's probably 400,000 bushel, and he uses that a lot for his private. He's gonna match, and I didn't tell you this, it's not April Fool's either. He's gonna match what we put over
Oh, nice.
for for Queen Anne, donate that shell to Queen Anne's, so. And he'll do the hauling and probably even do the set for us if we wanted to put some, some spat on there. But it's just that, we've got to put this, I think it's good for the county too, because you see what position the watermen in and what the seafood industry now is in Maryland, is that if we're going to rely on what's across the bridge in Annapolis, you better not hold your breath because you're going to die. I mean, we have been, I've said this many times, about being left behind. I said in an article yesterday, I said, we haven't been left behind. We got tire tracks on our back. We've been run over and left behind. I mean, there's been nothing that this administration has done to help the industry. In fact, we got more regulations coming at us right now.
Well, first of all, let's see if you got any problems in
I
doing
don't have
something.
any problem at all.
Then how about if we make a motion, entertain a motion that we find out, we get, maybe let me get in touch with Dan and come and coordinate a time with those fellows when they're gonna wanna do it.
Right.
And talk to Dan about, see what what it would take to get it done.
Probably be at the time when your first grass or second grass cutting is done, and, if you guys got the money to cut grass this year, I know no one's got any money left. So. But, sometime in that time of year. We'd like to get it when we can get the benefits of both by putting spat over or larva that we can get, and then also the wild, and usually that strikes like in end of June, July, August, when that water gets up around 75.
It would be a good idea for us, they're just sitting there in the way. So, I mean, they've been there for all those years, and if we can help you, I think we'd surely want to do it.
And I think it's going to set a good precedent that, we have counties, because it's hard to find the counties other than what's on the eastern shore that work with their communities, the watermen, and help them out. And you guys do a fantastic job for Kent every year. So does Queen Anne's, but you guys have led the charge, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And no other questions, I'll get you to entertain some kind of a motion, and we'll put it together.
I'll make a motion that we allow President Fithian to coordinate with Dan to remove the pile of shells at the Sharptown landfill to be utilized to be planted in the bay in conjunction with what you guys are doing as far as the boat that you use.
Got a motion
Yes, sir.
and a second.
Yes, sir.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Okay.
And just to add one other thing on the legislative side, Senate Bill 428, which was the Chesapeake Legacy Act, that I'm sure I've talked with Ronnie about it and everybody else. We did get the amendments that we wanted on it. I did support, our association and our membership did support the bill with amendments with a reserve on it. There's still been things we don't like. I was informed that Senator Hersey special ordered the bill on Friday. So now it's back, and there's going to be some other, hopefully, better amendments put on it. I'll find out tonight. But he's held the bill up, and the minute he did, the governor's people went crazy. Why'd you do this? Well, there's some issues about our constituents we want to address. So, but that bill's going through, but there's another one that has just come out on the federal side. It's called the Chesapeake Restoration Acceleration Act, being that all these environmental groups are so upset because the president has cut this slush fund funding that they get. They're seeking $22 million to move forward with the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the environmental groups to do these restorations that are in jeopardy right now. And I would have to say, I'd say 99% that bill's not going to go through on the federal government. They're not going to get that money. So it's, I know it's a tough time for everybody, but, hopefully some of this spending that we're seeing that's being wasted will get rechanneled into a better area. So, but that's about, legislatively, we made out pretty good this year. There's a chance we might get the reparation bill and making DNR do studies in different areas for finding these striped bass that aren't in the bay anymore that showed up last week, so. But
All right. Well,
Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, thank you. And when you figure out, give me a window of like a couple weeks when you
Sure.
might be wanting to do this, so we can talk to Dan, our Public Works Director about
Yes, sir.
trying to work something out for that time.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Oh, and one thing, I noticed you were talking about these sprinkler systems that they're putting in this building. We had a building on the farm we were going to put up, and they wanted this sprinkler system put in. And my insurance agent informed me you got to take out a separate policy because flood insurance does not cover the damage that a sprinkler system does. It's a whole different policy. So, hate to see it happen like it did in Rock Hall.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys.
This is Now, time for public comment. Is anybody?
I think Pete has something he'd like to.
Oh, Pete, that's
bring to
right.
our
I'm
attention.
sorry. Come forward, Pete.
Thank you, and thank you for giving me some time. I have just so you know what I'm referencing, Tom. I was here earlier today when we were discussing next year's budget, and I brought up one project, and that was the 911 refresh project. And I just wanted to make it clear, it would be my request, hope, and desire to try and have this accommodated in this year's fiscal budget. And I wanted you to see exactly what was going on and what I'm asking for. You can tell one of the first things, 10% of the whole ask, is kind of an agreement with DPW to foot the bill for one of the repairs that didn't fix the leak, but there's an outstanding bill from Johnson Controls. The rest are just removal, install a carpet, moving the equipment, the Motorola equipment, and then putting it back and getting monitors for the CAD and as well as the TVs for the security system. A lot of it can be done by ourselves. You'll see under item number 3 in the kitchen refresh, having DPW do the work with them going up to Home Depot and getting the materials saved us a lot of money. We've done everything we can to minimize this ask, and I'm fearful now that it's been sitting so long, and actually the contractors are going to say you need to submit new bids. But I really wanted you to understand the importance of not only what we've arranged for or what the 911 board will be paying for versus what we're asking from the county. And it's the $45,000 from Kent County to support the whole refresh of the 911 center. And then the 911 board would pay for the removal of, put in new racks, new tables, new chairs, give them a new system and replacement of the wireless headset receivers. So my request to you would be to consider using contingency funds from FY25 instead of moving this into FY26 to accommodate this repair.
We don't have any more contingency.
I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight if I didn't ask for it.
Well, we had a previous conversation about this building and the future of the building and, how we could maybe potentially utilize the building, maybe we can't. We don't really know at this point in time whether it's, I heard today that it's $350,000 to put a roof on it. And sometimes I feel like we're just throwing money to kick the can down the road, and I don't know that that's always wise, but I also recognize that there's not a quick fix to this. In other words, we're probably 2 or 3 years down the road before we even think about doing something with that building.
Or not,
Or-
right, any
or
direction you
demo.
go, any
If I
direction.
thought that move was more imminent, I wouldn't be here, and I would say
And
it's
that's my
not
point.
worth the ask.
That's my point.
Right.
So, I wish we didn't have to spend this $45,000, but at the same time, we are going to be getting $147 from the 911 board to help move some of this stuff around and to modernize it. It's a very important function in the county that they perform, the 911 center, and we certainly recognize that. And
There's people down there 24
Yeah.
hours a day,
Well, I was
7
going to
days
say,
a
I think
week.
that we
There's
need
people
to
that-
make sure that the conditions
Are
are pretty rough
appropriate.
down there. I mean, it's, I've
Yeah, they need to
seen,
be appropriate.
I've been sent the pictures.
So what I would like to, maybe for us to consider is that, once again, I'd make a motion that we take $45,000 from the fund balance and move it to contingency in FY '25 to let Pete go ahead and move forward with his proposal.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Very good.
Thank you very much. I know,
But wait a minute.
And if,
All we've done is move the money so far.
oh,
Right now, you have to appropriate it.
okay, so,
It was kind of all in one motion, wasn't it? Because he
I
said
thought
it
it
was
was.
appropriating it
But-
to
Well-
move
I
it. and then
I can make another
You
motion.
officially just moved it, so now
All right, and I'm gonna,
you moved it to appropriate it, now we need to appropriate it.
okay. And I'm going to make a motion to approve $45,000 from contingency to take care of the 911 renovations that Pete has brought to our attention that are in need of being done.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes
Is
have
that
it.
covered?
Right,
I'd also
crystal clear.
like for anyone that might be listening that are department heads here in the county that, everyone had a chance today to present their budgets. We're very thankful of all the work that they put into them, but it's our understanding that there might be some money available in the current FY '25 budgets that could be utilized for some of the smaller capital items that they requested today, and we would encourage those folks to do that.
And if
I
could-
received that
If I could amend that motion by just saying
That
that
wasn't a
we'd
motion,
like.
that's a statement.
Well,
But, go ahead.
before we turn them loose spending it, I'd like to have a list
We
of
gotta
what
have
it's gonna
approval.
be
Yeah,
spent.
they gotta have approval.
Just make a list or a recommendation or, a request, and if it makes sense, we're going to approve it.
Yes.
that will likely not be coming from the Office of Emergency Services, as we're doing that constantly throughout the fiscal year to accommodate our operating expenses.
I got you.
We're just trying to find a way to meet the requests that we got today in some of those smaller capital items. If there's funding, that's not going to be utilized.
I appreciate, and the people from OES appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Anything else here before we go to public comment? Does anybody know whether anyone has signed up for just to comment?
No one signed up.
No one has signed up, but I'll make one request. Is there anyone that left in here that would like to make a public comment or question or concern? Dr. McComas, I thought maybe you might be interested.
Thank you. I still forget to sign in, so.
That's
good-
okay.
Good evening, everyone.
You are welcome here anytime.
Yes, sir, thank you. I just wanted to share some good news about our school system. So first, I want to thank you for all your support throughout the year. We're rapidly approaching graduation. We have 8 weeks until graduation already. Also, thank you for your support around the school play. It was quite a production. I know that lots of people attended. Thank you for attending our Generations concert this past week at the Mainstay. I know that was a good opportunity. We also had our high school principal was recognized as the state high school principal of the year, and she will go on for the national competition. So we wish her well in that. Kent County Schools was acknowledged as a favorite workplace, my understanding, one of the first time ever. Our radio program was also on the cover of a trade magazine related to radio broadcast. So I just wanted to share those updates with you. And then I also received this evening, just before 5 o'clock, a communication from Delegate Grice related to our middle school legislation. Our legislation did not move past the House Appropriations Committee today. They said that there will be an opportunity next year for us to come forward and try a different strategy around requesting grant funds. So just wanted to provide you the update, let you know that thank you for your support in that whole endeavor this year, and just share with you we had over 650 letters of testimony submitted in support of that. So our community came to the rally around that process, and we'll continue that forward. for next year. So
But it did not pass.
that's my understanding, so.
That's something.
Yeah, sorry to share it here, but I didn't want to hold that and you not be in the know as well. So we'll keep moving forward as best we can. So thank you for the
you.
opportunity this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's your budget coming?
Oh, we're, that's my scalpel, trimming it down, thoughtfully trimming. It's a tight budget cycle, I understand, for everyone. And so we're working to make wise and creative decisions with the funds that we anticipate that we'll have. One thing for sure, students will show up, and we will do the best we can with what we have.
There you go.
So,
We look forward to working with you.
well, thank you, I appreciate it. And I was watching the meeting this morning just to see how we do things. So I present my budget to our board April 14th, and then I'm sure I will be sitting here with all of you shortly thereafter, so.
And I don't know whether you heard or not, but the Generations Program, I think you said it was called,
Yes,
just there and with the people that were there, they collected $1,900, I understand. Oh,
yes.
That's what was announced.
yes, and I believe that that's a tradition, like they do that every year, is my understanding.
Well, I just want to say, being there and listening, that was a very nicely done. I mean, the students, you couldn't tell them, it was advertised that there were going to be 5 or 6 students and then some professionals. If you hadn't have looked at the ages of them, you couldn't have told the professionals from the students. Those students were as good as anybody up there.
Right.
They did a great job.
Yeah, we're so proud of them, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to perform with the professionals. It's really an
Yeah.
opportunity for students to level up and take their game up to that next level.
No, they did a great job. It was very professionally put together. Nice
Thank you.
nice program.
And when we actually had a presentation about that. And before the lady left, we contributed $1,000 for scholarships.
Oh, thank you.
So doing the best we can.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thank you. And
Very worthy program.
I was told that, and maybe whether I got it right or got it wrong, but that did you make an announcement at one of your Board of Ed meetings that some of your test scores and stuff had showed improvement, and that you made the comment that the only thing you changed was you put control back into the classroom?
We're
Which I
working.
thought was right on target.
Thank you. We are moving in the right direction. I look forward to really seeing the compounding interest of the changes that we've made in the upcoming year. So, change doesn't happen overnight. We're leaders, it takes a minute, but we've made some significant changes, particularly in how we teach reading, and that is having positive impact in reading and mathematics, because the math tests today are the dreaded word problems. So if you're not good at reading, you're not going to do well in math tests today. And so our third grade cohort really is showing remarkable gains compared to where they were. So not that anyone's excited to see test scores in August, but I will be excited to see test scores in August. So I'll share them with you when I get them.
Very good, very good.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity as always, and I enjoy the evening. I hope it's still sunny outside when we get out there. So,
Thank you.
Everything.
Good job.
all right, thank you.
Okay, now no one else.
Mr. Massey doesn't have a speech or anything?
Then
No.
then I do know we have a closed session matter, and John, you want to?
Yep, I'll make a motion to go into closed session under the Annotated Code of Maryland, General Provisions, Article 3-305B1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals. We expect to discuss a matter concerning a specific applicant, and that's why we're having a closed session.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second, yes, sir.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it.